Every time I feel like StarCraft is starting to... I'm like, oh, am I starting to not like StarCraft as much? No! No! Ah, I love it. Love this game. Top left-hand corner from Kai Z Gaming. And, of course, is going to be Reynor. I believe semifinalist, actually. In IEM Katowice. Had an absolutely incredible best 5 against Maru. In the bottom right-hand corner, someone who we have not seen on the big stage yet, for many reasons. But is none other than Storm Gaming's MAXPAX. And, of course, Reynor and MAXPAX have played a ton, so we kind of know what the gist of this series is going to be, at least in the past, what it was going to be. And usually, how we ended up seeing these PvZs play out, before really a lot of the balance changes, before we got a new map pool especially, a lot of this PvZ was late game Stargate play by MAXPAX, going for oracles into Void Rays, just very, very solid, excuse me, a very, very solid play that would transition him into the late game, into the Eratos army with High Templars, and then Reynor, or sometimes even Cyril, having to then respond to that, as Zergs would oftentimes have to do, because they didn't feel comfortable enough in their ability to really consistently kill their opponent, unless it was a best of 5, and you could plan out what maps you were going to do your Queen Walks on. That has changed a lot, though. The Protoss meta has switched. It is a lot different now, and so I don't expect that we're going to see much of that at all, if any. And so I'm interested to see how MAXPAX does approach the new kind of style of Protoss that we've seen be the most dominant in the meta, which is of course kind of the hero style, with the style at least the hero has innovated with the mass gateways, with the really heavy ground focus. It is going to be a Stargate opening, of course. A Stargate opening does not necessarily mean that you're going to be going towards Eratos. Again, Protoss have been realizing, hey, we don't need to be forced into going Void Rays just because they're the best unit. You know, now we actually have more options since the Void Ray is less good, and that's where we're seeing a lot of the creativity come through. And so we'll see what the choices are here for MAXPAX. I would not be surprised if it's just going to be an Oracle first, and then just keeping count of whether he goes up to 2 or 3, which would give us the timer on what that tech is going to be for MAXPAX, and how he's looking to transition. As, yep, Oracle first, everything completely standard. This Adept, it's a bit of an aggressive shade, and we are going to see the Lings trying to be microed away, but you're still going to get one sniped, and might even see a drone here. If the, ooh, nice block there by MAXPAX. Gets the Ling as well. Oh, is it going to get out? No, the drones. They get their revenge for their brother. But that's still pretty, that's actually very good value for an Adept. If you manage to snipe 2 Lings and a drone, it's pretty decent. For the singular Adept, you're getting information on how many drones there are at this second hatchery at the 3rd base location. You know that Reynor really only has those 2 Lings and hasn't invested in anything more. And even just getting a drone on top of that is nice. Of course, MAXPAX would have loved to get that unit out, so he would have that for future scouting. As now the Oracle is going to come on in, and this is kind of the second prong here for MAXPAX. Does only get the 2, and actually the Queen's here. Really good movement by Reynor. Is going to just snipe the Oracle, and that's not supposed to happen. As the Protoss, that is not supposed to happen, as the music has decided to just go away. But regardless, yeah, that was just great movement by Reynor. He knew he had a Queen popping out of his main hatchery, so he moves the Queen that he has there to block off the dead airspace to the right of the main. And that's just, I mean, that was almost perfectly handled. You lose 3 drones to all of this, you get the first Oracle. Yeah, you're so happy as Reynor. And now MAXPAX is going into double Stargate. So MAXPAX still going to be sticking with kind of this tried and true method of Protoss, where you are going to be going to the very early double Stargate. And even that's it's, okay. You know what? The patch didn't even happen, guys. We're going back. That's it's a fleet beacon coming out from MAXPAX. We are going to be seeing most likely carriers. I would be surprised if this is the classic build. There was a build that Classic was messing around with for a while. That obviously was the 2 Stargate fleet beacon into Tempest Rush, which he was doing a lot on maps like 2000 Atmospheres and Berlingrad. I do not believe that's going to be the build that MAXPAX is going for. And looking at the money that he is banking, this does appear to be carriers. So we're going to be seeing, most likely this is going to be 2 carriers in that immediate 2 carrier push to catch off your opponent. To catch off your opponent. And then transitioning that, if they survive, into 6 carriers eventually, around 180 supply, trying to push and kill your opponent. Stay Sword does go down. Yep, just triggers on a singular drone. Reynor is very good with that micro. I think the bad part here for Reynor is he has not scouted out this main. Does have an Overlord sitting here at the bottom left-hand side of his base, but ideally that is moved in to see what is happening. Now the upgrades, of course, without pneumaticized carapace, that's not really going to happen. This Overlord is too slow, and well, there's a Stalker there, and that would kill it before it even got to the Stargates. But this is pretty important for Reynor to scout. You want to be able to see this. Of course, there is the chance that if MAXPAX flies across the map, you have 9 queens, and if there's no significant ground army, then Reynor can just deal with the 2 carriers, no problem. And then once you know that the carriers are an option, or they are out on the map, your kind of response opens up. And this is actually far earlier than MAXPAX, I think, wanted to reveal these, as this creep sped by Reynor is actually quite ridiculous. And yeah, carriers are out. Reynor knows he's going to bring his queens over, and suddenly the surprise, the danger of this is not really there. And the queens are just going to walk on forward. Transfuses will go down. Interceptors should fall. And there are 2 zealots here, but I don't really think they're going to be able to do all together that much. Lings can come forward. More transfuses onto the queen, and they are just taking up so much damage as now the Lings coming through. And yeah, this is not really working. And again, without the Void Ray now to really buffer and act as extra defense, you just see how weak that 2 carrier timing is if you're trying to hit it this quick with no ground support. I mean, Reynor just going to get onto this wall. He's going to look to knock down the Stalker. A rewall has come through with the pylon as more weapons as well, but the queens are going to push down the 3rd, and Reynor's just trying to end the game, and he can do this. There's nothing stopping him from doing this. The Cybercore is going to go down. Once that is down, the Lings are going to be able to flood on through. Then they're actually just going to retreat on back to this 3rd base to try and punish even harder. There are 3 carriers out now, and it looks like Reynor does want to back on up. Doesn't really want to risk throwing away the game here into 3 carriers. They're still a very, very strong unit. +2 melee weapons, +1 ground carapace. Everything coming through here for Reynor. Even throws down the infestation pit, so he knows he's going to be getting into. I mean, you can go infestors. I don't think they're going to be needed. It looks like Reynor just wants to end this game as it is. The Lings are going to try and stream on in. Banelings now to help blow up this mineral line so MAXPAX cannot continue mining. That's 1 big Baneling connection. Now he's just going to clean up the ground army, and even with the shield battery overcharge, so many of those units are going to go down. More Banelings are being morphed in, and the Interceptors, the count is just not high enough. We're only at 12 Interceptors. The Banelings once again going to come through. More connections, 6-10 probes now falling down as Disruptor Shot is going to get so much value onto those queens, but more and more Banelings streaming on in. The queens are still alive, they still have energy, and the Interceptor count is slowly going down. MAXPAX just has to retreat on out. He cannot afford to try and keep his workers at this base, and that means that the 3rd base is going to be forfeit. A Disruptor gets caught out, and that is devastating here for MAXPAX, who's really relying on these high-tech units right now to keep him alive. The 3rd base is going to fall, and with only 4 carriers and 2 Archons, I really do not know if there's going to be a comeback option here for the Signstorm Protoss. The Archons are going to dissuade the Zerglings at the very least, but right now we're looking at a 5-base Reynor, 94 drones behind this. This is just clinical how he has been handling this build here from MAXPAX. As the +1 air weapons has been restarted, mind you, that got canceled earlier when the Cybernetics core was sniped initially, and the fact that that didn't finish is just putting MAXPAX further behind at this current moment, as these Lings are still going to try and find a run by. Oh, that's not quite a hole between the pylon and the Cybernetics core, but just Reynor is creep spread, man. It's already at the 3rd. Look at this. It's insane. I just do not see how MAXPAX is going to try and make a comeback. There's already a Spire coming through. Hive is coming down, or Hive is finishing up right now. Sheesh, man. Reynor's good. Reynor's good. I don't know if we forgot that. Viper's going to come on through. Ultralisk Cavern, of course, going to go down. If this game did go into the late game, which I doubt it's going to, we're looking at a maxed out Reynor versus a 113 supply MAXPAX. you would have the option of the Adrenal Glands Lings with the Ultralisk run-bys. Is something that Serral did a lot against Skytoss back when it was, I mean, everywhere on the ladder and in the meta. As these rocks are going to get knocked down, as soon as these rocks go down, the actual rush distance between these two players is now essentially nothing, as the Banelings are going to come on through. The Zerglings are also here. They're just so much for Reynor. And without the Disruptor Shot now, I do not know if there's much left here for the Protoss. I mean, Reynor's going to take it carefully. He doesn't want to throw away the victory. But now the Banelings are just going to roll on through, and the Archons, Reynor doesn't care. Sure, you have Archons, but he's going for the probes. He's going for the Disruptors, and they're going to fall. The Archons are all low health, and Reynor can just easily max out again on 82 more Zerglings. That is a nice Disruptor Shot. Reynor's not going to transfuse it. There's no particular need to, as some Queens are going to go down. And this is actually... okay, this is a bit more losses than Reynor would like. I mean, come on. Come on. I suppose it does help that behind this, Reynor was dealing with that Zealot run-by that got 7 drones into the natural. So not all of his attention focused at the front. And that does mean that all these Queens are going to go down. And with the third base being rebuilt, that is a decent win here for MAXPAX. Again, I still don't know if these moves are going to be able to win MAXPAX the game. Sure, you get some drones, you kill off the Queens, but now you're going to have Ultralisks and Corruptors as the next wave alongside this massive amount of lanes. We're looking at 87 Zerglings on the map, and that is just quite frankly ridiculous. It's a lot of Zerglings. Great splits by Reynor, means he doesn't lose any to that Disruptor Shot, and there are 4 Archons. And the Archons are very, very good, mind you, though. The Archons are working with only +1 upgrades versus the 2/2 of the Zerg. The Baneling run-by does manage to get 7 probes. And Reynor is still working with 87 workers at the current moment. As here we go, Surround going to come through, and MAXPAX realizes the folly of pushing out at this current moment. As GG, Reynor's going to take game 1. All right. Welcome to game number 2. We're on to Inside and Out. One of the smaller maps, and we love to see small maps making a reappearance. I mean, I at least have 6 bases per side of the map. It's about the size of a Curious Minds, and that is a very early probe going out for that hatchery block. Top right-hand corner, it's MAXPAX. And in the bottom left, he's the one and only Reynor. And he looked pretty utterly dominant. You know, there were some moments there in that last game where I was like, oh, this is, you know, it's a good trade for MAXPAX. But at that point, the game was so far gone that it didn't really matter. And MAXPAX realized that, eventually pushed out across the map and was like, oh, yeah, I just don't have enough to win this game. But we're on to Inside and Out. And this is a map that I actually haven't cast a lot of. It's pretty cool. We got these fancy schmancy... oh. I guess we're not going to discuss the cool rocks and destructible parts of Inside Out, because that's not what matters right now. It's a proxy hatchery! Reynor's doing his best Ragnarok impression right now. What's MAXPAX doing? Where's your probe? Where's your probe? Oh, he's not seeing this. Yeah. Okay, MAXPAX sees a pool, he sees an extractor, he's like, oh, this is all normal. You just went and you took your third base as your natural. You took your second base at your third location, and that's what's going on here. And let me tell you, that's not what's going on here. And it's going to be very, very unfortunate here for MAXPAX when he realizes what is happening. Now, luckily for MAXPAX, this is not the best map for a spine crawler rush, just because you have this ramp up into the natural, and any map that has a ramp into the natural is going to be less than ideal for this kind of a build from Reynor. But even with that being said, I think these 2 drones just snuck out without MAXPAX even seeing. I do not know if he's counting workers. Oh, Reynor, this is just mean. Oh, this is just mean. Cybernex core is going down. Nothing is building out of the gateway. MAXPAX has no idea. He's gonna check. Is he gonna check the third? MAXPAX checks the third. Oh no. Well, yeah. These spines are going to go up uninterrupted. It's an Adept first. Behind this, there is a Stargate coming down from MAXPAX, who thinks that this is a regular game of StarCraft. Little does he know, it is never a regular game of StarCraft. There are the spines, and there are Zerglings, and there is no full wall as this probe is going to get knocked down. The Zerglings can continue to try and be annoying. They're just going to go straight towards the main, though, to deny some mining, while more Zerglings are popping out, and Reynor is just going to try and cause as much chaos as possible. He's behind this, mind you. He has spine crawlers, and there is nothing to help defend against the spine crawlers in this wall, as the Zerglings are just being as annoying as possible, distracting that Adept. And now at the front, well, that gateway's going down. That wall is open once again. Shield batteries are coming in to try and help protect these two Adepts, which can actually be microed fairly well. As the shield battery is going to come up, it's going to try and do its best. This Adept, though, is not in range of that shield battery. He's going to have to try and micro its heart out. Should be able to get rid of those Zerglings. But the issue is, you don't have any more defenses available here for MAXPAX, who's going to put down another pylon, but there's already a queen here. Spine crawlers are now being walked into the natural, and Reynor is just going all out here with the cheese. And MAXPAX got it just a little bit too comfortable, thinking that Reynor was going to play a normal game. That's never going to happen here if you give him the opportunity, as now the spine's knocking away. The shield battery energy just gets so low, and that shield battery overcharge is not available just yet. And the natural base is forfeit at this point, and there are oracles. And normally I'd say oracles are fine, but I actually, you know what? I think maybe a Void Ray would not hurt in this position, as the shield battery going to heal up those Adepts. Oracle should be able to push back the Zerglings. This is the one time when maybe a Void Ray could have helped, but it honestly might have just even been too late by the time the Void Ray comes out with that extra build time. Reynor's already knocking down the natural base. Sure, Reynor is all in. Sure, there's nothing at home here for Reynor. He's continuing to produce Zerglings. He's producing another queen. A Void Ray is now on the way, but again, what is this Void Ray going to do? The Oracle is going to fly across the map into a Spore Crawler and a Queen. And so this Void Ray is just far too late. There's two Oracles out on the map, and they're good at cleaning up the Zerglings. But once that energy is out, the usefulness of this Oracle is gone. Now, Shield Battery Overcharge is still available. The Adepts are just kind of flirting on the outside here of the range of the Shield Battery. And I think Reynor knows he just needs to knock down that Stargate. That's really the last shot here for MAXPAX, as that Adept gets low, but it eventually finds the choke point. More shield batteries coming down, and honestly holding this quite well. This shield battery overcharge is popped, I think, oh yeah, on the far shield battery. So now the Void Ray comes out. That Queen is getting quite low. The Adept should stay alive. The Zerglings, this is getting very close here, but now the Spine Crawler is being brought up, and the shield battery overcharge is about to run out, which means that Void Ray no longer has the healing, and their Transfuse is left. And, well, I mean, the shield batteries are coming up, but again, these just Oracles, they're not going to do anything. The Void Ray can't be produced because there's a supply block now. And MAXPAX is just going to slowly start to die out as the Adepts are trying their best to hold on. They've been trading so well. 19 kills on this Adept as it eventually falls to the Zerg Swarm. The Stargate is going to go down without a second Void Ray popping out. And there is just no more production here left for the Protoss. There's a singular gateway, but now the pylons are going to be targeted. More shield batteries are coming down, but it's just a Void Ray, an Adept, and an Oracle. And I just do not know if MAXPAX has what it takes to hold on here. He needs to wait for another shield battery overcharge. It is coming up. I mean, maybe with this, MAXPAX could start to hold, but again, he doesn't have the energy on the Oracle to try and focus down that Queen, as the Adept is going to fall before the shield battery overcharges. Pop, never mind, it's just barely being kept alive. Eventually is going to die, as it feels like Reynor has been able to close out this game. A very well executed cheese, a very well executed response, and the additional gateways going down are not going to be enough for MAXPAX. Reynor makes quick work of it. The Oracle gets turned on. The transfusions, the creep is just too good. MAXPAX will fight it out. The shield battery overcharges pop, but GG! Reynor gets the 2-0.